Okay, hello everyone. I am Lisa Twilley. I'm the director of the Women's Business Center here at Maryland Capital Enterprises. Thank you guys for joining us today on this beautiful day. I know you could be outside doing something fun, but we're thankful that you're here. And just to give you a little information about Maryland Capital Enterprises, what we do. We are a nonprofit based in Salisbury, but also have an office in Baltimore. We assist entrepreneurs that are getting started in business or if they're already in business and trying to expand. We help with business consulting, marketing consulting, free training workshops such as this, and we also do micro and small business loans. So if you happen to be a business owner in the state of Maryland and you need our services, all our services are free. So please reach out to us. I'll put my contact information in the chat. That way everybody has it. And our service area is the entire Eastern Shore of Maryland, Baltimore City, Baltimore County, and Anne Arundel County. But if you're not in that area, we can still help you with some of our services. We just won't be able to lend to you. But we can always connect you to someone in your area as well. So today we have Lindsay Peel, the owner of Kingdom Vision Consulting. I will let her tell you a little bit more about herself and her business, but she is awesome. So I'm sure you guys, some of you are probably on the first class, so we're very thankful for her, and she's done a lot for MCE and the Women's Business Center, and we appreciate her. Oh, and let me mention too, we have our Women's Business Conference coming up March 14th at the Civic Center in Salisbury, and Lindsay is one of our keynote speakers. So I'm really excited about that. So hopefully you guys can join us if you're close or want to travel for the day. All right, Lindsay, I'll let you take it away.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Lisa. I always appreciate you and the entire team at Maryland Capital Enterprises and the Women's Business Center. One thing that I can't not say is that as small businesses, regardless of what industry that you're in, you have to have a village, you have to have a community who support you, you have to have organizations who believe in you to say, hey, I want to give you a chance. And as soon as we started our business, after transitioning from banking, MCE was one of our very, very first partners back in 2021. So 3.5 years later, we are still here doing amazing work together. And I'm so grateful for you guys, Lisa. It means more than I can ever really fully express for your trust and your continuous partnership. Good afternoon, everyone. It is so good to see you all. I'm glad that you're spending just a moment of your day with us today. I'm even more excited because I see some returning folks from last week. So that means we said something that made you want to come back. And we also have some new faces in the room today. If you were here last week, then you know, because we're in such an intimate setting, I think it's important for us to introduce ourselves. You never know what future business partner may be here, what investor may be in the room, and I think it's just valuable to take a moment to just briefly introduce yourselves. And if you were here last week, it's okay, introduce yourself again, because there are some new faces here today. And if you were here last week, tell us one thing that you walked away with from our session last week. I won't call on any names to get started. I'll let you guys do that for yourselves. Anybody want to be a brave soul to go first?
Come on, Christina.
I'll go.
You look brave.
She called you, not me, right?
I was struggling to get off mute. She probably read my lips. I was like, I'll go. So I'm Christina L. Glancy. I'm the founder of At First Glance Solutions. I help busy people avoid burnout and selling out. And I do that by strategic management and growth consulting. Lindsay is one of my favorite people on this earth. So and one of my business besties. So I'm excited to hear this talk. Sorry for not being here last time, but I'm here today. I'm based in DC, and I can come out to Baltimore anytime. So I'm looking forward to meeting anybody in the room.
Awesome.
Amy, you look like you're about to be next, but I couldn't quite tell.
Hi, how's everyone doing? My name is Jay Kamen. I'm with PCC Enterprises. We're a woman-owned construction and construction management service company. My mom and my father started it, so I'm just here to kind of learn and get more acclimated with kind of the opportunities within the area. Located in PG County, Maryland.
Awesome. Glad to have you, Jay. It sounds like I heard generational wealth in that conversation, you know.
Yeah,
Super,
definitely.
super grateful to have you. Anyone else want to jump in? I won't pull your leg, but you know, I want to create this space.
I was trying to unmute mine as well. So, my name is Amy. I am the founder and operator of Virtuous Wellness Center. We're located in Arnold, which is right outside of Annapolis, Maryland. We do physical therapy, massage therapy, and acupuncture for our community and also for veterans. I've been in business for about 10 years and just recently went under an expansion. So I feel like I'm kind of at this place of where I was able to get my business to a certain level and now just reaching out for the wonderful resources that are out there for me to continue to move on to like a franchising opportunity with my business.
Amazing. That is super exciting.
Yeah, awesome.
Thank
That
you.
is really awesome. Glad to have you, Amy. Do we have maybe at least one more person who want to jump in there really quickly?
Sure. Good afternoon. I'm Crystal Henry. I am the founder and the owner of Around the Way Parchment. I create greeting cards and stationery, and I am located in Baltimore, Maryland, originally from PG County, Maryland. So it's always nice to have some good old PG County on the line. So, hey, Lindsay.
Hey, Crystal. So great to see so many familiar faces, but also some brand new faces. If you are new to me, that is okay. Guess what? You now have a new business bestie to add to your tribe. I say it often is that growing up, they used to tell us that, hey, it takes a village to raise a child, but they forgot about what happens when we become adults, right? And it takes even more of a village now to make sure that we are whole, that we are taken care of. But when you think about being an entrepreneur, right, it can get a little lonely. So we need community now more than ever. So I'm super, super grateful. And look in the room, right? Make sure that you also see who's here because you don't know who may become a part of your business village as well. So great to have you guys. Today, we're going to dig into the money. Last week, we really set some foundational things for you guys to consider as entrepreneurs, both personally for yourself and in your business. Today, I want to show you how do we go and get the money and why is this such a relevant conversation? Is because one, in business, you always need capital, right? Whether it's capital that you provide for yourself, whether it's capital that someone else is giving you, or if it's debt capital that you need to go and apply for to be able to grow your business. I am a firm believer in OPM, so I love utilizing other people's money to advance and to create new ventures. And I want the same for each and every one of you all. If this is your first time meeting me, my name is Lindsay Peel. I am the founder and principal consultant here at Kingdom Vision Consulting. I also wear many, many, many hats. I am also a licensed realtor here in the state of Maryland, an experienced banking professional. I started my career within the retail banking space, literally working in every single role between a part-time teller and a branch manager and everything in between. My love for banking and financial literacy really sparked when I had an opportunity, right? I believe that opportunities are so important and they're vital. And I recently just had a conversation with my district manager who hired me almost 10 years ago to just thank him for giving me that chance because my degree was not in finance. I did not really have an interest in money. I saw a part-time job as a teller and I said, hey, I want to make money and I like benefits. So let's do it. And it really became a part of my life. I am a second generation entrepreneur. Jay, you reminded me a little bit of myself. While I'm not in my parents' business, I am in business and do what I do as an inspiration from them. My father is a plumber. It might not sound sexy, but if you've read the recent article about the trades, there is money in the trades. So do not sleep on it. And my mom has been running that business for over 20 years. And that business really gave me an opportunity to create the life that you guys see today. day. That business helped to send me to my number one choice school. That business helped me to buy my first home. That business helped me to start this business and to plant those seeds. And I really, really think it's important that when we're in business that we have a why. What are we doing this for, right? What is the ideal outcome? And it has to be beyond just money, right? It's what can that money, those financial resources also do for you and for your family? And I am a walking testament of what it looks like to create a business, no matter how old you are, right? To create that business and to lean in that business. You've heard me speak before. You know that my parents had me after the age of 40 and they started their business at almost 50 years old. And I truly believe that if they can do it, guess what? Each and every one of you can too. Super excited to pour into you all today. If you have any questions as we go through today's material, please, please, please do not hesitate to drop it in the chat. I want to make sure that we do not miss anything. I promise you there is no such thing as a silly question because somebody else might also be pondering on that same thing. Briefly, just a little bit about Kingdom Vision. We are a boutique financial services firm where we specialize in CEO financial planning. We really, really take pride in making sure that our entrepreneurs not only gain the information and knowledge and empowerment and encouragement to really enhance their businesses, but we also have to enhance our personal selves, our personal financial foundation. I like to say often is that you and your business, you're almost like a married couple. While you're technically separate, however, what one does directly impacts the next. And we can't think about having a thriving business if our personal financials are all over the place, right? But we also want to make sure that if we do have a strong personal financial foundation, that we can intentionally lean into that business to create a solid foundation so that that business does not drain you personally, right? There's so much to learn when it comes to money, financial management. What is the next move, Lindsay? How do I take care of today? But the first step is being here, is learning, is getting the information. And once you have the information, it's up to you guys to execute. A good friend of mine told me about 5 years ago, she said, Lindsay, way too often we are information rich and execution poor. We're going to the webinars, the webinars, we're sitting in the cohorts, we're doing the things, but sometimes this information is sitting in our notebooks. Sometimes this information is on our laptops in a folder we have not opened since the event, right? And I want to make sure that after you guys leave today, that everybody has some form of a call to action for yourselves, whether it's to pull your personal credit report or to have that conversation with someone on Lisa's team, right? Because Maryland Capital Enterprises is a CDFI. What is a CDFI? They're nonprofit institutions, right? Community development financial institutions that provide access to capital. So you guys are in the room with the organization who was giving away the money. Now I got to teach you how to go and get it. I like to start with some poll questions so that I can do a temperature check of who's in the room or what are the needs in the room. Our question, why do you need capital? And before you answer, right, even if you feel like, oh, I'm not in a space where I'm ready to access capital or I don't want to apply for a loan yet, guess what? At some point, you're going to need to leverage business credit. So I want you guys to think about when you do get to that point, what do you feel like is going to be the inspiration? Are you looking to buy inventory to help you to create more sales? And it's the holiday season, so inventory is super, super important right now. Are you looking to hire new team members, right? Because we cannot just survive being the chief everything officer in our business. You cannot do it all. We might start that way, but you cannot continue that way. Are you looking to pay yourself, right? The business is bringing in money, but I still need a buffer to make sure that I have a salary. Or are you looking to consolidate some debt, right, that you've incurred by starting your business? Why do you all need capital? Let me go to the chat and see who responded. And feel free to come off mute if you know for sure that you have some access to capital needs. Working capital, hard money for projects, that's a big one. To buy inventory and to pay myself. Those are important. Anyone else? Are you thinking about capital? And if so, why do you need it? And the biggest thing is that if you cannot answer this question, why do you need capital? We want to pause on submitting any application because guess what? This is one of the primary questions that any lender, right, is going to ask you. Why do you need this money? Whether it's a loan, a line of credit, whatever that may be, they want to know why. And if you can't articulate that, you do not provide confidence for that lender to be able to even extend that capital if you don't know why you need it and how you're going to use it. I see someone else that's inventory and marketing, startup, to pay myself, providing services, hire new team members, recently acquired more real estate, and need to increase our providers. All of these are legit reasons to need capital. The biggest thing is being able to articulate it and being able to create a plan for the capital that you want to receive in order to do those things. Because just because you get the loan today, right, that doesn't mean that you get to start hiring tomorrow. That means that there still needs to be a plan in place on how we're going to disperse those funds to ultimately achieve your goals. So I want you guys to hold on to these things, right? Hold on to your purpose, your need for capital, because that's going to be a very important part of your conversations with your future loan officers that you are going to meet. A little bit of objectives for today's session. We're going to talk about your role in accessing capital as that entrepreneur, as that business owner. We're going to talk about the steps to building business credit, how to use it. And we're also going to give you guys space to ask me questions, right? It's not often that you get to sit in front of an ex-banker, someone who actually used to submit these applications. It's not often that you get a chance to sit in front of someone who sits on a loan committee, right? So I'm voting on loans on a regular basis to make sure that our entrepreneurs have a chance to access capital. If you were here last week, guess what? You saw this slide and guess what? You're going to see it again, right? Because this is the starting point to accessing business capital, okay? I know that the Instagram girlies and the TikTok guys are telling you, hey, start that LLC, go and get $150,000 of business capital without having good personal credit. I know we're hearing a lot of things. A lot of financial experts have popped up out of the woodworks, right, during COVID. But I'm here to let you know, right, if you want to access intentional capital, if you want to access a reasonable amount of capital, you got to start with you, right? Because think about you and for my people who are parents, think about you and your baby, right? When you have that baby can't take care of itself. That baby needs you to feed it, walk it, change it, and everything else, right? I want you to consider the same thing when it comes to you and your business. When you create this business, that startup, you're birthing something great, that business needs you to help take care of it. That business needs you to help fund it. That business needs you to run it. But guess what? That business also needs you to be qualifiable, right? So that you can get the capital that you need to build your business, okay? The first thing that we want to consider when we're thinking about applying for business credit specifically is, where do I personally stand with my credit? Where am I right now? Right? If you pulled your credit report, what does that report tell you? Because if we don't pull it, if we don't know it, we can't have an educated conversation with the loan officer about our current positioning and where we're looking to go. Now, I also know that some of us are still fighting through fear and fighting through shame and fighting through, hey, Lindsay, I didn't know, right? Because they're not having these conversations at school. A lot of our families are not having these conversations at the dinner table. In fact, a lot of our family members were probably saying, hey, don't apply for credit. Hey, don't get that credit card. But the reason being is that they didn't know how to teach you to take care of it, right? And your credit, you really want to think about your credit as the queen when it comes to chess, right? Most people think the king is it, but no, that queen is really the star player on that board because she has so much leverage and flexibility, right? We've heard years and years and years that cash is king, but cash is only king if you got a whole lot of it, right? And I know I don't have a whole lot of cash, right, to say, hey, cash is king and I don't need credit. No, we absolutely need credit. And I want you guys to understand the importance of having good personal credit. Even if it's not great today, right? That is okay. The biggest thing is that we need to identify where are those areas of opportunity, right? Is it the history of the credit? Is it that years ago, right, I didn't necessarily know how to manage it and take care of it, so it's not that great from some historical things, but I'm doing better now? Is it that your debt to income ratio might be a little too high, right? Do we have more debt than we have income coming in? Are we in a situation where our credit utilization is too high, right? I know most of us have probably heard of that 30% golden rule, and it really is a real thing. We want to try to make sure that when it comes to your personal credit, that on a monthly basis, when that statement period closes, we're not having too many items that are above 30%, because revolving credit is just looked at a little bit differently than loans, right? So when we have a lot of credit card debt, it is going to drain your credit, whatever it is. I need you to discover the issue so that we can fix it. Okay, we have to address it now. And even if you say, Lindsay, I'm not ready to access capital right now, guess what? I still need you to address it anyway, because when you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. And it's a different situation to be in where you absolutely need capital and we can't get it because we didn't address those things before when we had the opportunity, right? I want each and every one of you all to be able to go out here and get the yes that you need from that banking institution, that credit union, that CDFI, right? That fintech, whomever it is that we're looking to partner with. I need you to be able to get that yes so that your business can get that yes, right? Sometimes it's a hard conversation to have, but as entrepreneurs, right, we can either be an asset to our business or we can be a liability to our business. Which one do we want to be? Right. And I want each and every one of you all to be an asset to your business. I want you to be in a space where you have a solid foundation where your business can grow because of what you did to prepare yourself. Okay. If we're not there yet, again, it is okay. But I do need you to make it a priority, right? Everybody can get a free copy of your credit report using annualcreditreport.com. Or one of my favorites, I love the Experian app. You can get a free account, use the app, you can use the desktop version, but they will update you. I know we might not want to address it all, but we got to address it, right? And if you remember last week, I mentioned that in business, if you own at least 25% more interest in that business, you're going to be considered a personal guarantee. For SBA products, it's 20%. So even if it's a few partners in the business, depending on the percentage of ownership, your personal credit is going to be pulled. Your personal financials are going to be examined, okay? I cannot stress it enough. I need everybody, right? After today's session, go and see, right? Yes, we might have to deal with the feelings of what we see, right? However, I'm here to let you know that your credit score, right, is not an indication of your worth. And I need us to be able to separate those things. I know it's hard, but we have to do it, right? And especially if we know that we want to be able to access capital at some point. When we think about positioning our business to get that yes from an institution, you want to start with the basics, okay? On paper, is my business legit? Even if you haven't made $1, right? What do we look like on paper, okay? Do you have an established legal entity, right? That's the first thing. But once it's established, is it also in good standing? Yes, every year we have to file our reports, right, and pay that money, but it's important and you want to be in good standing because as soon as you submit an application, guess what? That's a part of the due diligence that underwriter will do. They will look your business up in that state and they will see if you're in good standing or not. And if you're not in good standing, guess what? Sometimes that can lead to an auto decline. that dramatic pause was for a reason. I've seen so many entrepreneurs, they don't even get to the point where they're reviewing your financials, right? It's simply, is the business in good standing or not? So I want everybody to go and check, right? Regardless of what state your business entity is established in, go and check and make sure that you're in good standing, okay? Well, once you're able to check that box, let's talk about some other elements of your business that sometimes we don't really think about, right? It just kind of goes over our head, but it can be very important to an underwriter, right? To that loan officer. Do we have a legit address for that business, right? Do we have a website? And when it comes to the address, right? I know it's very popular when we're starting, and especially for our home-based businesses, to use our home address as our address, right? And I'm not saying that it's anything necessarily wrong with that, because hey, I started out that way too. However, at some point, you want to transition that address to like a virtual mailbox address or a co-working space that collects mail, because you want to have a legit commercial address on your business, right? Because sometimes it can impact the amount of credit that you get approved for, right? And it's important to have that physical address. No PO boxes, right? Even some of us have UPS boxes. There are some lenders, when they see those addresses pop up in the application, they will decline you, right? I have personally been in that space. I have been declined a credit card application before, simply because at that time I had a USPS box and it wasn't a real address. And that particular lender did not like that. Had over the 700 credit score, but it was simply because of something that small. And not every lender is as scrutinous when it comes to those things. However, you want to at least keep it in your mind so that you can make sure that on paper you are in the best position to get the maximum amount of approval, okay? You want to also make sure that you have a website, right? One of the worst things is that we're applying for capital, and when that underwriter goes to search your business online, they can't find anything. You want to have some type of digital footprint so that they know that we are a legit business. It doesn't have to be a full-fledged flashy website, but at least at the bare minimum have a landing page, right? So that it does reflect the business, what you do, so that they're not twiddling their thumbs and having to ask too many questions, right? The more information we have readily available, the better our odds are when it comes to them underwriting that application the first time. Yes, they come back sometimes to verify some things, but you want to make sure that they can check as many yeses on their underwriting checklist as possible, okay? Your email address, I cannot stress this enough, okay? Now, I know nobody here has the brown eyes 22 at Gmail, like we're not doing that anymore, right? However, there's also a difference, right? When you're applying for capital and you have abcllc@gmail.com versus owning your domain, right? And being able to have info@abcllc.com. Right? You want to invest in yourself and invest in that business because you want to look legit on paper, right? If anybody from an institution or someplace that you wanted to do business, they emailed you and they had an @Gmail account and they're supposed to be a big institution, you're going to be looking at them a little crazy, right? I want you to think about that when it comes to your big business, right? No matter how you start, you want to think about where you want to go in that business. Invest in yourself and invest in that business, okay? Comes to a phone number. You want to have a legit business line. You do not want to use your personal number for services, right? And that's not really like a lender thing. It's just best practice. At least have a Google number, right? Where it's a separate number that is detached from your number. Because one, you want to also be able to create boundaries, right? You don't want your clients calling you all times of the night just because they're upset or they didn't get XYZ. You want to create a level of separation between you and your business. And what this does is it gives that underwriter confidence in you and your ability to actually run a business and not a glorified hobby, because they are two different things, okay? You want to make sure that you know your NEXT code and your SIC code, right? These are the codes that are attached to your business based on your industry. And why is it important to know that? Because there are some lenders who don't touch certain industries, and you want to know if you're in a restricted industry. And it's not to say that you won't be able to access capital. It just means that we have to go an alternative route. Right? But you want to know that. You don't want to discover that in a conversation with the lender and it's brand new to you, right? You want to be able to walk in and have an educated conversation about yourself, about your business, where you are, and what it is that you're looking to accomplish. Of course, you want to make sure that you have your EIN number, right? It takes 5 minutes to get it. Do not go out here and pay anybody to get your EIN number, okay? I see people paying hundreds of dollars sometimes for a 5-minute process, okay? We have Google College, we have YouTube University that has a lot of resources and tools that will show you exactly how to do what you need to do, okay? It might not even take a full 5 minutes, but you wanna make sure that you have it, okay? And that next thing is you wanna absolutely have a business bank account, okay? Now we want a business bank account, but we also wanna make sure that we're not commingling, right? Because I see some people, I got a business bank account, Lindsay, but when I pull up your business bank account statements, I'm seeing your hair and your nails and all the things, right? Oh, it's a write-off. Not really, right? That's a different conversation that we have to digest. However, you want to make sure that if a lender requires you to submit your last 6 months bank statements, you want to see, right? You want them to see rather that you know how to handle your money responsibly. Because if not, guess what? They're not going to have confidence in you. Because guess what? If they give you that money, you're gonna commingle it, right? And that's not what lenders want to see. So have the separate bank account, but also utilize the separate bank account. Even if you're the only one in that business, and even if that business pays your living expenses, right? You want to actually create a transfer from that business account to your personal account, and then allow your personal account to pay those bills, okay? You want to create a level of separation. And this is just at the very baseline, right, of being able to look like a real business on paper, okay? Once we have all of those things checked off, we actually, on paper, we look like a strong and legit business. Now we're ready to actually make some moves, right? We're ready to start establishing relationships. Now, this is going to look different for different people, right? Because if you start your business and you already have a pretty decent credit profile, you might have some personal income that you can include in that business credit card application. You may be able to go out there and just get business credit cards, right? Before even creating any vendor relationships, right? Now, this is important to make sure that our business credit profile is also growing, is also glowing, right? It has to have something up there, right? Just like personal credit, we got to use it to create something. So a great way to do that in your business is establishing those vendor relationships, right? Are there vendors that you're currently using in your business that allows you to have a trade line, right? To have that net 30 payment relationship. And if so, you want to activate it, right? And you want to make sure that they're actually reporting to your business credit. And we'll talk about reporting in a moment, okay? That sweet spot number is about 5 accounts, right? And you might not do all 5 at one time, because the thing is that you have to spend money in order for it to actually work, right? So you might start with one, utilize that for a little while, and then we go and get the next one, right? Depending on where you are in your journey. Now, for my entrepreneurs who you know that your personal credit right now isn't the best, you want to start doing this as early as possible so that your business can start building some validity on its own, right? Separately from you. Yes, they're going to look at you, but you still want to make sure that your business can have a strong credit profile, okay? You have a few different business credit reporting agencies that we'll talk about in a moment, but we have to start somewhere. This is just a very, very, very short list to the right, but there are so many more out there, okay? You can literally Google, vendors who offer net 30 relationships or who offer business trade lines, and you'll see, and some of them may be the people that you've already been partnering with, right? Start there and then start to develop those other relationships, okay? Now, I think it's important to understand the different types of lending tools and products that are out there, because not everything is suitable for everybody or every business industry or every season in that business. Okay. We just talked about creating those vendor relationships, right? Those are your trade lines, right? They're usually going to give you a certain amount of money that you can expense with that relationship, and then you'll have that net 30 term. Net 30 meaning that your payment date will be 30 days after, right, that invoice has been issued to you. Those are trade lines, right? And you want to start accumulate some of those. Credit cards, they're the most common, the most popular typically when it comes to business credit. And frankly, I think everybody who owns a business needs a business credit card, right? Because it just simply helps you to be able to manage your cash flow from one month to the next month, right? Let's just say, especially if we're in that startup phase, let's just say you only have $1,000 in your business bank account right now. But let's just say this month, right, it takes you $500 to pay your overhead expenses, right? If we do that and we're using cash, we only have 2 months available, right? Before we're wiped out. And that's hoping that we get more income that next month. But if you're able to have a business credit card and leverage it, right, you're able to use that card for the $500. And instead of paying a full $500 that month, maybe we say, you know what, because I'm a little uncertain of what income is going to be next month, let me just pay $250. Now you still have that $750 in your account, right? We might have a $250 credit card bill, but guess what? I'll take that in order to hold on to some of my liquid in the account, okay? I am an avid user of business credit cards. I love them, right? Because it just provides balance. It helps me to manage my liquidity in the business, right? And for my people who love rewards, guess what? There are plenty of business credit cards out there who have rewards programs. I love making money for spending money that I'm going to spend anyway, okay? Now, you want to make sure that when you are getting into these credit card agreements and arrangements that you understand, right, what they are, because there is a difference, right? There are charge cards that are out there where whatever you spend that month, you have to pay it off by the end of that month. But then you have your regular credit cards where you can carry over a balance. And sometimes you don't know what type of card it is up front. So we got to make sure that we're doing our due diligence, reading that fine print, asking questions whenever we can. Hey, I don't mind. I pick up the phone and call customer service. No, I don't feel like chatting with a chat box. I want to get to a person to answer my real question, where that call is also recorded for quality and assurance. So if there is a hiccup, right, I know that we can go back to this conversation, right? Everybody should at least have one business credit card for your business, okay? Even if you feel like you don't need it, guess what? You may need it, right? You want to have it, but also just thinking about for safety and security reasons, especially for my product-based businesses. Sometimes we're buying products from China and from other places. You also want to have a security measure in place, because if something happens, because fraud is real, right? If something happens, you want to be able to just submit that dispute, right, with your credit card company. Usually, right, they're going to give you your money back. They're probably going to credit you in advance while they're doing the investigation, et cetera. If someone frauds you and take money from your actual debit account, it is so much harder to fight with. Yes, your bank is probably going to side with you as long as everything looks good on paper. But imagine waking up in the morning and you are negative 500 in your account because someone took money, versus we have a $500 balance on our credit card that wasn't ours and we're submitting a claim for that. Right? We want to just make sure that not only are we leveraging OPM, other people's money, but we're also protecting ourselves in business, especially for small businesses, okay? Lines of credit, super important, right? And lines of credit is one of those things where, Lindsay, how much do I apply for? What can I get based on where I am in business? Usually with your lines of credit, sometimes, they're looking at giving you maybe about 10 to 12% of whatever your annual revenues are, because lines of credit, just like credit cards, they can be risky-ish for institutions. And why? Because with any type of revolving line, by technicality, you can pay the minimum payment forever and never really pay it off, Versus with the loan, there is going to be a set term with a set dollar amount, and that institution knows that at some point it's going to be fully paid off, right? So loans and revolving lines, they're looked at a little bit differently, and you want to know that when you're going into the conversation with the lender, right? Now, I do believe that as long as you can qualify for a line of credit, absolutely get it, because just like a credit card, you don't pay what you don't use, right? It's just there and available for you. But if you ever need it, guess what? Now we have it. And you want to usually apply for revolving lines when you don't need it, because usually when you don't need it, you're in the best position. Usually your credit looks good. Usually you have some liquidity in the bank. Usually your sales are looking right. That's the time where you want to go apply for it, when we're shiny on paper, versus when we've exhausted most of our liquidity, right? We've strained our personal credit because we had to put some business stuff on the credit card, and then we're asking for money for people to come and save us, right? Institutions don't really prefer that, right? They want you to come and present as a strong applicant from the beginning if you can, right? And I know it just depends on when you're accessing this information and where you are in your journey, but it's super, super important to note. Another hack that I want to give you when it comes to business credit cards, you can leverage your business credit card to do a balance transfer on your personal credit card, especially if you have utilized your personal credit card to accumulate business expenses, right? I've done it and it works and it's golden, okay? When I first established my business entity, I had just like everybody else, accumulated some expenses on my personal credit card, not too much where my score started to go down, but there was still a balance there that I didn't like. So when I applied to establish a business account, they're going to ask you, hey, do you want to apply for a credit card too? Yes. And once I was able to get that approval, I immediately did a balance transfer from that credit card debt that I had personally for my business and put it on the business credit card. Guess what it did? It wiped out that personal debt. Credit score shot up at least 20 to 30 points, right? Because we got rid of that revolving debt, okay? Once you learn the information, then you will know how to use it, right? I say often that credit is a game, both personally and in business, but you have to read the instructions to know how to play the game in order to actually play the game and to win, right? The biggest thing is that in entrepreneurship, you want to try to avoid accumulating a lot of personal debt for your business, right? As much and as best as you can, if you can get business credit to utilize to grow and build that business, you'll be in a much better position, okay? You have unsecured term loans, which is your standard loan that you might get for a business, where you don't have to put down any type of collateral. Collateral could be an asset that you own, equity in an asset that you own. Popular security when it comes to using collateral is like equity in your house, right? Most lenders will say, hey, how much equity do you have? And they will give you usually up to a percentage of that in capital and use that as their security. Sometimes they will also use the assets in your business. So if your business owns things, then they will also use that as collateral for secured lending options. You also have equipment loans, depending on what business industry you're in. If you need equipment to operate that business, you can go and get a loan, and that equipment is then the collateral for the loan that you are getting. Collateral is pretty much a safety net for that lender, right? That's saying, hey, if they opt out of paying tomorrow, I at least have something that I can go and get. Now, do lenders want to come and take your house? No, they do not, right? However, it is still a measure of safety there for them, okay? You have medical practice loans, right? I know someone's in wellness, right? So if you know people who are in the medical field and they're looking to become or to open up their independent practice, there are special loan products for people in the medical industry. I remember before I transitioned from banking, I supported a veterinarian with purchasing a clinic, right? And just because he was in the industry, right? Just because the industry is known to produce higher salaries, right? They were able to give him that loan, right? And it was a much smoother process than trying to go and get a regular loan to still do the same thing. And there are other industries that have special loan products attached to them, like the agricultural space is a good one, right? They have some ag loans that are particular to that industry where there are certain measures, right, that they look at differently than your average lender, okay? You also have SBA products. Your SBA products, the money isn't given from the SBA necessarily, right? The SBA guarantees it on behalf of that lender. So whatever lender that you're looking to work with, that lender has to be SBA certified, okay? They have different levels of accessing capital. The smallest is the microloan up to $50,000, but they also have loans up to $5 million, right? I heard somebody say that they're considering potentially, right, franchising their business, right? If you know somebody who might be interested in purchasing a franchise, SBA loans also support that. There's so much that you can do. You just got to know what products are available and how to access them. And then, of course, you have alternative lending options, which are some of my favorites. You have CDFIs, you have fintechs. These are your financial technology platforms. Some of them are based around crowdfunding, and some of them are just non-traditional fintech lenders who still will give you the same type of product and service. It's just they're utilizing our digital resources to do so. People ask all the time, Lindsay, how can I use this money, right? There are different purposes that you can use money for, but I like to separate them by the type of credit product, right? Now, when it comes to our loans, these are usually things that are a little bit more long-term, right? They usually carry higher balances. So like if you're looking for large bulk inventory when you're just getting started, right? Or if you're freshly starting and this is your first time, you might need a loan to set yourself up, right? For real estate purchases, renovation costs, if you're looking to consolidate some debt, equipment and machinery, acquisitions, right? Acquisitions is important because we don't talk enough about being able to purchase another business, right? We don't always have to start from the ground up to build from the mud. You can actually go buy an existing business with a portfolio and with income already being produced, right? Your vehicles, these are great things for term loans, right? Now, when it comes to our revolving accounts, which are those lines of credit, those credit cards, we want to think about short-term expenses, right? And I say that because theoretically speaking, a lender doesn't really want to see your line of credit balance high and it just stays that way. It might be temporarily, right? Especially for my people who might be in government contracting, or you might have contractual relationships where they might not pay for a month or 2 months or 3 months. Sometimes you need to use that line of credit to take care of the expenses. And once that contract income comes in, right, we then want to be responsible to pay off that revolving line, right? It's very popular with government contracting, especially to float payroll. But it's also good when it comes to inventory, working capital, even some real estate transactions, not necessarily the purchase, but the transactions that happen within it. So if you need to, pay for an inspection or you need to go pay for supplies, right? Credit revolving accounts are so much better for that. Supplies, materials, everyday expenses, etc. And again, it really just helps you to be able to manage your cash flow. Now, your business lending checklist, this is super, super, super important, right? I'm giving you the real game, right? What a lot of people don't want to share, right? Because it gives you the cheat code to going in and getting the approvals that you need, right? There are some general requirements that almost every lender will usually ask, right? Depending on the application. They're usually going to ask for a personal financial statement. What that does is it lists all of your assets and all of your liabilities. It shows us your net worth at the bottom. But the biggest thing is that PFS shows that lender what you own so that we can also see, is there equity in the assets that could be used as collateral, right? They're usually going to be asking for your last 2-3 years of tax returns. So you want to make sure that if you know that lending is in your near future, let your accountant know that we do not want a whole bunch of write-offs to just avoid taxes, right? I know it's a balancing act trying to figure out the two. However, right, your underwriter, they're going to be examining those tax returns. And even if you made $150,000 that year, if you only netted $10,000, baby, that's what they're looking at, right? Can you afford this debt, right? What is your available debt service coverage? So you want to make sure that when it comes to filing your taxes, that you're not discounting yourself. You don't want to step on your foot before you even get an opportunity. And I see it all the time where lenders have to say no because your tax returns are not suitable for that application, okay? You want to make sure the entity is in good standing. You want to make sure that you have your financial statements, your profit and loss, right? Your income statements, your balance sheets. You want to make sure that you have a good record of your financials. I think everybody should be in some form of an accounting system, whether it's Wave or QuickBooks or some of the others, right? You pick your poison, but you need some type of accounting system that can help you track all of those expenses. And a lot of times these systems will help you produce reports. If you're a personal, when you own that business, again, you're going to be a personal guarantor, and you want to make sure that you have adequate repayment sources. Even if the business isn't making money, do you have an income that can be considered, right, to be able to pay off that business debt? Now, some things are optional per lender, right? Because every lender has their own rules. Some lenders want you to have collateral. Sometimes it's mandatory. Some of them might need you to have a co-signer. Some of them may ask for your last 6 month statements. Some of them may require you to have a business plan, right? Most of our CDFIs, they want you to have a business plan. They want you to have projections, right? And some of them want to make sure that you have some type of mentorship or technical assistance. There is also, right, some lenders will say, hey, I need you to be in business for at least 2 years. I need you to be at least making this amount, or I need your credit to be at least at this amount. There can be some minimums in place, right? But again, it depends on the lender. So we want to make sure that we're having conversations even before we're ready to submit the application, okay? You want to date these lenders. You want to make sure that you understand what are some of the factors that they're going to consider in my application. They're certainly going to consider your industry type, right? What is this industry doing? Is this a profitable industry, right? What are the trends, the national trends, the local and regional trends that's happening? They will look at sometimes the business revenues, any type of additional supporting income. It counts, right? So even if, right, you're working and you have a salary right now, and you're planning to leave your job, cover your ears, Lisa, but go and apply for credit before you leave your job, right? So that we can say, hey, we have this supporting income to help us with that business, okay? Lenders don't like it when you come in and get money and then they find out later on that you quit your job because they was dependent on you having that job when they gave you that loan. However, ultimately, once you have your money, it's yours, right? They're not going to say, hey, bring that money back because you left your job, right? But you want to make sure that you're timing certain things right when you are looking to access capital. The biggest thing is your overall ability to repay. They want to know, what measures do we have, right? Do you have some rental income? Do you have some gig income? Are you doing Uber, DoorDash, whatever the case may be? They want to make sure, can you pay it back? Sometimes it's their requested amount. I've seen them decline applications just because the amount that was requested was too much, right? It didn't make sense for where the business was. Some lenders will counter offer you and some of them won't, right? But you want to make sure that whatever we're applying for, that it's reasonable and justifiable, okay? The purpose of the application. I asked you guys in the very beginning, why do you need capital? That is an important reason for lenders, right? Sometimes they will decline you if your purpose is not suitable, right? Based on their lending and underwriting terms. So again, you want to get to know these lenders, right? And what they're looking for in particular. Your personal and business credit history, as well as your banking history, super, super important, especially your banking history if you're looking to apply for capital at the institution that houses your accounts, right? I have people ask, Lindsay, should I stay at my bank to apply for capital or should I leave? It depends. If you have a good relationship, you haven't been a problem child for the bank, you don't have a whole bunch of non-sufficient fund fees and overdrafts, right? And you have a sustainable relationship, then absolutely apply there because that helps, right? Sometimes they will say, just because they have an account with us, we're going to give them this loan. But also it can hurt you too if you know that you have not managed those accounts well, Okay, we're almost done. I know we have a few minutes and I want to make sure that we have questions, that we can answer your questions. As you start building your business credit, you want to monitor it. Just like you want to monitor your personal credit, you want to monitor your business credit. Now, monitoring your business credit, it does cost, right? There's usually not a lot of free business credit options out there to monitor it, right? One of my favorite websites is nav.com. And NAV is really like a business lending marketplace. It'll show you different lenders, what you may have qualified for, but it also will give you credit updates. And if you have the paid NAV account, it also reports as a positive trade line on your business credit history, okay? Everybody should have a DUNS number, right? Some of us probably have heard of Dun & Bradstreet. Your DUNS number is free. However, you do pay to monitor your credit. However, it's important. It is super, super, super important. Everybody might not be in the same space, but wherever you are, we want to find a space that works well for you. My favorite part of every session is the opportunity to address some real-time questions. If there's anybody who's in the process of applying for credit, I'm thinking about applying for credit, Lindsay, I want to, but I'm nervous, I don't know. Let's get through some of those things. I also have our contact information on the screen. If you want to follow us on social media, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook at Kingdom Vision Consult. If you're also interested in partnering with us, right, after this conversation, please feel free to email us, info@kingdomvisionconsult.com. You can also check out our website for some really amazing things. We also post our events there, etc. And I look forward to supporting you guys.
Thank you, Lindsay. I
Oh.
do see one question in here. It says, what are some ideas for ways or apps to use to receive payments?
So for like your POS, your point of sale systems, it depends on what industry you're in, because every industry also have your different systems, right? For my restaurateurs, they usually use Toast, right? There are some people who are in product spaces where they utilize Zettle. Zettle is through PayPal. It really just depends, right? I do say that you want to have a legit merchant system, right? We might start with Cash App, we might start with Zelle, but you do want to transition into a real merchant system because it counts and institutions look at that, right? So it may be PayPal, that might be your primary source. I even use QuickBooks to receive payments, right? So it just depends. If I may ask, what industry are you in? And also, usually whatever accounting system you have too, they have a way that you can receive payments.
Oh, she just said, she was trying to say.
Yeah, I asked the question. The plan is for a language school that teaches Haitian Creole, French, ESL, and I do other things in it. But right now, I've been doing mostly interpretation, translation, and French and Haitian Creole, and I will be like adding like career navigation. I'm also in the social work field. I'm a social worker, but like it's gonna stay as a language skill. Anything I'm gonna add will be adding to it. So right now I'm just using Zelle, and I'm just thinking like you said.
Yeah, a lot of businesses are using Zelle, and honestly, bankers will prefer Zelle over like Cash App or Venmo. However, do you have a customer relationship management system, right? Any type of
Not yet. I think I'm gonna connect with you. We can work together, and you tell me how much, and you can be my mentor.
I absolutely love to.
Yeah,
Clearly
yeah,
you
I need that.
love what we do. Sorry
Yeah.
to cut you off, but please reach out. I'll also submit, I'll put the link right here to our inquiry form. And once you complete the inquiry form, it'll send you an auto email with a link to actually schedule your consultation, okay? I would love to partner with you.
Okay, I will do that. Thank you.
You're welcome. And for some people, if you guys are using a customer relationship management system, then a lot of times those softwares also have payment receipt capabilities. So I'd also say start with whatever you're using. But if you're new in business and we're just starting, we may want to find a software that is applicable for you to use to grow your business and collect payments at the same time. Awesome.
Anybody else?
So Christina mentioned that hers is attached to her Squarespace at the moment. And a lot of times that's what entrepreneurs do too, right? Squarespace is probably attached to her website and that receives money. And then that money is then transferred to your bank account. So the great thing is that we have options. We have lots and lots of options. Again, thank you so much to Lisa and her wonderful, wonderful team for having me again. Thank you guys for staying with us, for spending a little bit of your day with us. I hope that this information was helpful. I hope that it at least triggered some thoughts, some call to actions, right, that we all need. I need everybody to think about what is the one thing that we can do, right, today, this week, this month, to really start your journey of accessing capital. It was such a pleasure to meet you all today, and I look forward to hearing from you.
Thank you so much, Lindsay. We appreciate you so much. And thank you guys for joining us. We do have a workshop coming up December 5th. It's with the SBA. It's SBA programs and services. Allows you an opportunity to learn more about what they have to offer and ask questions. So it's from 12 to 1. You can register at our website, just like you did for this class. So hopefully you guys will join us. And then we take a little break around the holidays, and then we come back in January with tons of training workshops. So, yep. So thank you again. And you guys have a good day.
Thanks, Lisa. Have a great day, guys.
You too. See ya.